Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Directed IRA podcast with yours truly, Mark Kohler, and the amazing Mat Sorensen. Excited to be here with you and talk about the wonderful world of self-directing.
Yeah, the wonderful world of self-directing where you can do what you want to do with your retirement account money, not what Wall Street wants to do with it. So lots of questions lined up for today. We're pulling these from YouTube, from directira.com/podcast. It's open forum. We're answering your questions about how to actually do it.
Yeah, and so, sometimes we have holidays or whatever. We just have 3 or 4 questions. Today we have like 3 or 4 pages of questions. So I was like, holy crap, man. So we need to maybe consider at some point a rapid fire session.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, yes, no,
I
but.
thought you were going to say we're going to start charging for questions.
Oh, well, I'm not opposed to that too. Please send in your billing address with each question and we'll send that right out.
So let's just get your credit card, actually.
Yeah, we'll just do that. Okay, so we don't want to waste your folks' time. We're excited to be here. Yes, we will add some, incredible humor and comedy, tears, stories, motivation as we proceed. But let's get into it.
Okay, you want me to go?
Yeah, you choose first.
Ready.
You get.
Okay, this is a question from Kenneth from Arizona. He says, "Can my SDIRA lend funds to a tenant to purchase my personally owned rental property?" So let me explain this. Let's go into this. Kenneth owns a rental. He has a tenant, someone that lives in it, that pays him rent. That tenant apparently wants to buy the rental, but that tenant doesn't have money. Kenneth's like, I'll loan you money for my IRA so you can buy real estate. And why not buy the one you're renting from me? I guess he wants to unload this rental, cash in on some money personally. Now, typically, this would be fine. You could lend someone else money. Lots of our clients use their IRAs to lend other people money to buy real estate. That can be secured against the property, of course. You get a lien or deed of trust. But there's a problem here, Kenneth. It's called self-dealing. The issue here is the money from your IRA is going to your tenant, who's going to take that same money and give it to you to buy the property. And so you can't loan someone money from your IRA for them to then take that same money and pay it to you personally. That's going to cause this kind of self-dealing privilege transaction because the IRS doesn't let you use your own IRA to buy and sell assets with yourself. They just don't trust you. There's some tax, manipulation you could be doing there. So they've just outlawed that in the rules. So it's a no-go, Kenneth. Hate to break it to you.
Now, I will throw this out. We, on our sister podcast, the Main Street Business Podcast, we talk about this type of strategy all the time. Just take the IRA out of the mix. A lease option can be a wonderful way to create a greater ownership interest by a tenant. They can give you a smaller option fee. You can lock down a price. You can start attributing some of their rent towards the purchase. Maybe even increase the rent a little bit. Give them credit. Help them build equity in a purchase. If they walk away, you get to keep all that. If they don't walk away, you got a built-in buyer down the road. You could 1031 exchange. Also, I would just say doing a seller carryback where you act as the first trust deed holder and increase the purchase price. Where you're like, well, this guy has no money. Well, take back first trust deed, but charge him a premium for the fact he doesn't have a down payment. I mean, there's just so many ways to do a creative sale. So don't give up on the whole idea entirely. Just maybe remove the IRA from this particular equation.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Well, I had a question this morning. I promised I'd bring it up on the show. I'm going to bring it up real quick. This is from Nancy. She said, and so I'm going to paraphrase her. I don't have the printout in front of me. She said, I was excited to buy my first rental in my IRA about 3 or 4 years ago. It's in California. And she said, I probably did it wrong, but I just bought it with cash. I had an IRA with $700,000 or $800,000. And I said, I'm going to buy this rental property. And she goes, I love equity. So I didn't want debt. I just wanted to buy this. She goes, and it was funny, Mark, everybody I talked to had no clue what I was doing. And she goes, at the time I was reading Mat Sorensen's book. I was like, oh, not my book. No, Mat Sorensen. So I was like, all right, whatever. And she said, so I was able to get through it. But now I'm 3 years later, and this thing's worth $950. Okay. And she goes, on one hand, I'm totally excited. My IRA owns this property. It's cash flowing about $48,000 a year, $4,000 a month.
Oh, wow. It's gone up in value, and she's getting cash flow on
Yeah,
it.
so she's got 48.
That's why people love real estate.
Yeah.
Appreciation and cash flow.
Yeah. But it's deceiving because she's got $950,000 tied up in a property. And I said, what's your ROI on this? She kind of looked at me like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, what's your cash on cash? She goes, well, and she tells me the rent roll and da-da-da. And I said, okay, let's say you're bringing in 45, 48 grand a year, and it's worth $950 to $1 million. That's a 4.5% rate of return. You could get that in a money market. You know, that's not the best rate of return on your money. She's like, I know this equity's all tied up, but I know the property's going to keep going up. All right, okay. But she goes, what do I do? That was the question. And so I said, and she even said, she was smart enough to go, what about a non-recourse loan? And so a couple ideas. The first one is, I think everybody, when you've got a paid for property, whether in your IRA or in your own name, you got to look at your real rate of return. What's your cash on cash? You've probably depreciated it significantly. Is there really a tax benefit flowing through? You may not even be getting the tax benefit if it's an IRA or you're not even a real estate professional. So you're really banking on appreciation? Folks, sometimes it's time to cash in on a property and take that rabbit and create 3 more rabbits, and take that $1 million and go buy 3 more properties and get some lending going. Really leverage your money. So in an IRA situation, she could do what's called a non-recourse loan, probably get 50% out of the property. So that could be $400 to $500 grand, and then go JV on another project, create some better ROI with half of that money. So it's just not sitting there. She didn't want to sell. So I don't know what comes to mind when you see someone like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's really for anybody that has assets with equity, is using that strategy to strip out the equity to get more investment purchasing power, buy more assets, and use the debt to your advantage. You know, Dave Ramsey would not love you for doing this, but
but we call this good debt.
Yeah, this is the good debt because it's increasing purchasing power that can create income, right? We're not creating debt for some worthless asset. This is an asset that can appreciate real estate and can also produce us income. So I love that. That's what I would be doing. I'd be doing the exact same thing. You might be able to get 2 or 3 properties in total instead of just 1 by getting a non-recourse loan. And there are lenders who will strip out the equity, who will kind of do a cash out refi on a non-recourse loan too. Now, I just looked yesterday. Now, here's a couple things right now. With the rates being higher, this is kind of the bummer. I just looked with a client yesterday who was getting a non-recourse loan. They got 8% on their rate. You know, it's been a while since rates been that high, but non-recourse is usually going to be 1 to 2% higher than the regular mortgage rates, whatever that's going at. So just know you're going to have some cost to that debt. But if you're increasing the purchasing power, getting more return, more cash flow, more appreciation, let that debt work for you.
Yeah, 8%. You might be able to do 15% when you look at an internal rate of return with another smaller property or going JV with someone. And then she said, well, I don't want to make any poor decisions tax-wise. What happens when I retire? And I said, is this a Roth? And she goes, no, it's a regular IRA. And I said, well, this is a good time if you're going to strip out equity. Look at an appraisal, try to get that appraisal down. Because if you're really into this property for the long-term ride, let's get an appraisal, get it as low as reasonably possible, that would withstand an audit, and start doing a Roth conversion maybe. Let's rip that Band-Aid off. Let's get that tax paid now. And she actually lived in Arizona, but the property's in California. And so doing a Roth conversion, you're only paying state tax rates of 2.5 on that. So you could rip out that equity. You could also do a Roth conversion and never pay tax again on that property. So it could be a combination of 2 or 3 strategies.
Yeah. That takes a little bit of pain right now, of course. But yeah, I think, how old is Nancy?
She's like 40s. She's in her 40s. She's got plenty of time.
Yeah. There's a lot of upside there to do the conversion. Sometimes like clients are a little older. It's like, but 40s, you got plenty of time. You got 20, 30 more years to hold investment assets.
Right. Okay, next question.
All right, this one's from Rich D'Alessandro from Illinois. I probably murdered that.
Yeah, sorry, Rich. I apologize on behalf of my co-host here.
It's like, anyway, all right.
You should have just led with Rich. Rich from Illinois.
Rich from Illinois says, I would like to park some uninvested money from my IRA LLC business checking account into a high-yield online, no-penalty CD, which is not marketed as an IRA CD. Okay, good point. Until I need it for an investment. Okay, so he wants to put in a CD until he wants to invest in something. How do I handle the 1099 from the online bank after I sell the CD and move the money back to my business account? Is this a taxable event or against any SDIRA rules? Okay, so absolutely, Rich, your IRA LLC can get a CD with the bank. I will note one thing, because I've just been down this myself. a lot of the online banks that offer CDs those rates that they're offering do not apply to businesses or LLCs. You will only get it in your individual name. It's not all of them, but just be careful. Just note that. Make sure you're reading the little fine print on who it's available to.
Which brings us to a social security number or an EIN.
Right, which you don't want. Okay, so you need it in the LLC's name. Now, there's plenty of banks that'll do accounts in the CDs in the LLC name, or even money market accounts in it that are a high rate, right? We're getting like 4 or 5% on these CDs and on
money markets.
Right
Just
now.
open a money market in the name of the LLC.
Yeah, the tables have turned. Banks have to pay us to deposit our money now.
Yeah.
You know, they don't just like get it for free and get to lend it out and make all the money. So we're back to like regular banking, and this is why there's been a little bit of a squeeze on the banks. You know, they actually have to pay for your deposits. Okay. So now when you get the 1099, as long as you fill out the account application right, you're going to put the EIN of the LLC, not your social. Now, when you're opening a business checking account, this is important for people and dealing with their LLC at banks with a CD checking account. They will need your social. They're not using it for tax purposes. They're using it to identify the owner. They have to know the beneficial underlying owner at the end of the day, which in your IRA LLC is you. Okay, there's the LLC that has the account. The LLC is owned by your IRA. You own the IRA. So at the end of the day, they need an individual they can identify for anti-money laundering purposes. So but make sure you're doing it as an LLC entity and you're using the EIN.
And I'm going to forewarn you, Rich, right now. This is going to be somewhat of an uphill battle because when you walk into the bank and go, hey, I want a business savings account or CD, I want a money market account, whatever, it's got to be a business account. And they're going to go, okay, what's the EIN? Then they're going to ask for social. And then you're going to say, well, my IRA owns the LLC. At this point, 2 people may fall on the floor and go into respiratory, you know, and they're going to like hit a red button, the bank doors shut down, everybody freaks out. And so now all of a sudden you're teaching them what self-directing is because banks don't know this or do it. Would Titan Bank be a good choice to maybe?
I know they do CDs, so I mean they're great for just the checking account, and they're they got that down. But I don't think they're offering CDs.
I was talking to what's his name the other day. I feel bad. I forgot his first name. I literally called him last week. Check out Titan Bank. If you call our office at KKOS Lawyers, the ladies will give you the referral to our contact. It's another online bank, which is a positive, which is where you were headed with this, Rich. Give them a call. They know IRA LLCs, and so if you say, "Hey, I want to get some interest earning." Something here on my, but they're trying to expand. When I called them this week, because I called them about something else.
I don't know that they're doing CDs, but okay.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, but give them a call. You know?
Right.
Is there another? I don't know. If you just walk into your credit union, they're going to go into DEFCON 4. So just be careful how you ask.
Yeah.
So, all right. This is a question from Jesse Fowler. I'm going to go into a little quick rapid fire.
Okay.
I'm going to see if I can do 3 in less than 60 seconds. Go. Jesse Fowler, could your IRA owner finance the sale of a flip? I think what you mean is I'm going to answer it 2 ways. Can your IRA finance the sale of a flip? Yes. Your IRA can borrow hard money or whatever and do a fix and flip. You just need to use non-recourse financing. If you, an IRA owner, want to finance the flip of someone else's, now you're the hard money lender. You can do all that all day long as well. Did you want to say something? It looked like you did.
Well, could your IRA owner finance the sell of a flip? I guess it's confusing.
He could phrase it.
If your IRA owned the property and sold it, then it could owner finance the sell of the property. If you're
that's another version.
Yeah, that's another version of this.
Yeah. Jesse, call the law firm. Get with one of the tax lawyers to help you out. Odie and Rosie's Adventures. I have $3,500 in a losing account with Edward Jones. Is that enough to start a self-directed IRA? If so, what can I do with that? Odie, $3,500 is tough. You're going to open the account at Directed IRA for $300 to $400 would be the opening account fee and process. If you're a believer in our crypto accounts, you could easily turn that into a crypto IRA very quickly. If you want to go out and do other small business microloans or pool that money with 2 or 3 other people in an LLC, maybe. $3,500. I would look at getting your contribution done for this year. Maybe get that $3,500 up to $10,000. I would also recommend make sure you sign up for our Alternative Asset Investment Summit, and it's going to be at altassetsummit.com. It'll be down in the description below. This is an event we're holding next month, and it's to help people find out where to park their money, small to large. And so we're going to have a section of that summit where we deal with accounts under 10 grand and rapid fire ideas out at that point. That'll be well worth your money. I would say open an account, fund it with this year's contribution, attend the Alt Asset Summit, and go from there. Don't make any rash decisions yet. I got through 2. I'm not going to go for 3. I'm going to hold myself back. You go, see, you can do a couple quickies.
Mark's
here.
been an attorney billing by the hour for a decade or 2.
Yeah.
And, just keep,
I tried.
He went for it. I knew it wasn't going to happen. All right. All right. This is a good question here from Vic. Wife and I both have self-directed IRAs. She has an HSA of $30K. I have an HSA of $3,000. Mine is not worth putting into self-directing. Can I put my HSA into hers and put her HSA into a family self-directed HSA?
Man, all of this put here, there, who's what? I sounded a little illicit there. I didn't know what was going on.
Grading of the podcast.
We just went to explicit on that one.
All right, it's not where I went, but okay. All right, this is a good question because it's a little confusing on HSAs because you have single and family HSAs. But here's how the rule works. You actually have HSAs under an individual. So you have an HSA, Vic. Your wife has an HSA. The family HSA is about contributions and what you could contribute to your account. You can do either an individual contribution to your account if it's just for you, or if you qualify for family contribution, you can do a family contribution. But there's no such thing as like a family HSA, and you can't merge a husband and wife's HSAs together. So what I would say in your scenario, Vic, what I would do is I would just keep her HSA that has $30K in it and start making family contributions to that. Just get more money into that so you can self-direct it. Let's plow the money into that self-directed HSA. And the one that you just have of $3,000, maybe use that for some upcoming medical. Drain that out with some of the medical that you might have upcoming. And focus on getting all your new contributions and your investments of your HSA in your spouse's. Start doing family contributions.
Yeah. I'm going to answer this in another way. For some of you, it is confusing. Let's say you and your spouse each have an HSA with $1,000 in it. When it's time to make your contribution this year, the family contribution this year is what? 72? 7,200?
Yes.
Okay, let's
73.
say so let's say $7,000. It just for inflation every year. I'm sorry, I don't have my calendar in front of me. So let's say the family contribution is $7,000, the individual contribution is $3,500. Well, you and your wife can do $7,000 into one of your accounts, or $3,500 into both of your accounts, or you could even chop it up and go 4 in one account, 3 in another. As a couple, you're able to contribute $7,000. And you say, well, we have a family HSA. No, you don't. There's no such thing as a family HSA. It's either under husband's name or wife's name, but it's a marital asset. It's both yours, and you can both draw it out because you're married, and you just get to choose. So, but it's going to go under someone's social when you open it. And then the IRS says, are you married? Great. You can put it up to this. You can divide it between the two of yours. So it's kind of like, it's a nice shell game. There's actually a lot of options there, but you can't combine them. Once you've opened both accounts, you can't combine them. If you get divorced under a quadro, they would split one of them, but that'd take a court order to do. Mm-hmm. And so you just can't call them up and do it for fun. You'd have to have an actual legal divorce take place before an institution's going to allow you to split it up and give your spouse their half. But okay.
All right. Let's go to Ronnie. He had a question. Says, I'm trying to get started. I made $200,000 in 2022. I opened a self-directed IRA and I put $7,000 in it. Is this legal? Okay, now Ronnie, I presume this was a 2022 contribution, which you could have done up until April 15th of 2023. Sorry, April 18th this year. And since you did 7, I presume you were 50 or older. All right. Jeez, all dramatic over there with the crossing out.
Am I distracting you? Come on, focus.
I'm not very good at that.
I know. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to get in your... Okay, come on, answer the question. What do you think? Doesn't Michael Jordan have people yelling at him when he was draining them?
I'm not Michael Jordan.
I look to you as Michael Jordan. You can do this.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Okay, Ronnie. So let's get into this because I think you're focused on the income. Now, for Roth IRAs, there is a high income limit for what you can contribute to a Roth IRA. And if you were single making $200,000, you wouldn't have been able to do a regular Roth IRA contribution, but you could have done a backdoor Roth IRA. Very easy. We have prior podcast episodes on that. And frankly, that's what I love you to be doing as a Roth IRA anyways. Now, if you did a traditional IRA, which is fine too, there is an income limit, but only if you have an employer plan at work or your spouse has an employer plan at work. Like, let's say you have a 401k at your day job, okay? Or even in your own small business, frankly. Then you do have an income restriction on making a regular traditional IRA contribution. So, but if you're like, nope, don't have a 401k at my work, spouse doesn't, then you're fine. You could have done a traditional contribution. If this was Roth, again, I would have wanted you to do a backdoor. You would have needed to do a backdoor Roth IRA to get that in.
Yeah, let me answer it another way. Okay, this is good for everybody. Some of you made a contribution to an IRA last year and then start to do your tax return and realize, oh my gosh, I made too much money to either get a deduction for my IRA or I opened a Roth IRA and I didn't qualify because now I see my income, but I already put the money there. So what do you do? So this is kind of called this over-contribution quandary, where when it's time to file your tax return, you're looking in retrospect going, uh-oh, did I do something legal? And that's his last word. Is this legal? I put in $7,000, but I realized I made too much money. And as Matt said, if it was a regular IRA what you did, that's fine. Convert it to a Roth, man. You didn't get a write-off. Now you can just convert it to Roth on day 2. Boom. If it was a Roth you funded and you made too much money, now you have this over-contribution procedure you have to follow. We've done prior podcasts on it. You can Google that. You got to get a hold of your financial institution, and they're going to have to kick it back to you. You'll get a 1099 for any gains during that period, and you want to hurry and get it done. The longer you wait, there can be a penalty if you leave it there too long. So you want to repair this situation right away. But if it was a regular IRA, what you did, so it's totally legal. You just may have not gotten a write-off. So now it's time to just convert it to Roth and enjoy the ride, man. This could be a huge blessing in disguise, is another way of saying it.
Yeah. All right.
You got one?
Yeah, I got a question here from Val. Val asks about gift. Oh, we answered that one already. Never mind.
Okay, I've got one.
Oh, sorry.
Ken says, I have an HSA. We're kind of on this HSA thing today. Ken says, I have an HSA and I'm going to start my own company. How long do I have to get a health plan in order to keep contributing to my HSA? Well, there's really two things going on there. How long do you have to go get a health plan if you lose your job or discontinue a health plan and now you've started your own company? You're without coverage. So you have to look at the rules of going out and getting a new plan, and it'll probably be an individual plan. You're going to want to go to healthcare.gov or go to the exchange at your state level. There's these qualifying circumstances that allow you to go out and get a new plan individually when you lose your job or lose your health care. So that's step one. So you want to make sure you follow those rules, hurry and get your application in, get coverage, find the right plan. That's step one. Now you're saying, well, Mark, I want an HSA plan or an HSA qualifying plan, which is step 2. And so when you're shopping under step 1, you've got your deadlines and your procedure, you're going to say, I want an HSA qualifying plan. And as long as you have it in effect before December 1st of this year in 2023, you can make a contribution for this year, for 2023. Now, there are hardliners out there that say you should prorate your contribution for 2023 based on the time period in which you had an HSA qualifying plan. There's others that read the rules in a more constitutional approach that are like, hey, you had the plan by December 1st? You go, girl. Go fund that thing. I don't know. You talk to your accountant, make sure they're comfortable with the strategy you take on this. But by December 1st, you want to have that plan in place. That's going to open the door for a contribution this year. How much contribution you make, and is it family or single? That's going to be step 3. So, but get a plan right away and shop for an HSA plan. Have it in place by December 1st.
Love it. All right, this question is from Jeremy in Texas. He refers to this as IRA LLC free property question. It says, an opportunity has been presented to me to acquire some equipment at no cost from the company that my stepfather works for. Always red flag there. For instance, there are heavy-duty power washers that retail for $11,000 but have been depreciated off the books but have huge resale. My question is, can my IRA LLC be the recipient of these and then resell them?
Okay, I'm calling you up, and I'm going to get one too.
Yeah.
And see, and that's actually not facetious. That's a really good point. Would they give me the same deal, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Like, I could call them up, and they give me one too? Well, it's because of my father-in-law's relationship.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that's
yeah.
good. Stepfather,
Yeah, stepfather. Not a disqualified person unless he adopted you, Jeremy. But so he's not a disqualified person, nor is the company he works for. So I don't know that it's prohibited, but your IRA has to invest in something. Your IRA can't receive anything for free. Now, if they're like unloading these things, like if someone will give us $500 for them, we'll take it. Cool.
Now we're talking
$500.
Yes.
Go sell them for 11. Okay, that's something you can do. But remember, and I think this is, I've had people ask this question multiple times. You know, it's like, and I always kind of go back. Your IRA can only invest in something. You know, what if I go out and I find this deal and I don't put any money down and then I wholesale it, this contract on this real estate deal, and I make $20,000 on it? Well, how did your IRA own it if it didn't put any money in on it? Okay. Your IRAs can only make investments, all right? So we got to get some money in. I'd like the idea to just say, I'll give you $500 for these, you know? Put something down, take it off their hands, then resell them and make the profit. Let that go into your IRA LLC. Now, don't do too many of these because selling equipment could run into UBIT if you're flipping a lot of equipment and buying and selling. That is like, you know, you start doing this every day. But if you just got a little bit of equipment you buy and sell here, I don't know that it's going to run into UBIT.
Yeah, and a couple of words I want to throw out there too is you want an economic transaction. No one can gift to an IRA. They can only gift to people. Economic
transaction.
Yeah, you need economic. So walk in there and go, hey guys, now here's the way I would do this too. This is going to make your life a lot easier. Make sure you have your IRA opened over at Directed IRA. Put $2,000 or $3,000 in there. Roll it over from another IRA at a different institution if you need to. But get your account open, get the IRA opened, create an LLC. You're going to want an LLC with the money from the IRA transferred over to the LLC bank account, of which you can be the manager of and control the checkbook. Because see, you want to make this transaction simple and easy when you go to the equipment company. So take about 1 to 2 weeks, get these appointments started, call Directed IRA right away, call the law firm right away and say, I need an IRA LLC. That would be step 1. Then step 2, go to the company, or meanwhile, let the company know you're ready to roll. And in 2 weeks, say, I'm going to show up and pay $500 per piece of equipment. And the number that I think Matt and I would be comfortable with is don't do more than 3 deals. Buy 3 of these power washers at $500 a pop. Now they're in your IRA LLC. And your IRA LLC can go sell them on Craigslist or wherever, and they can send the money to your IRA LLC. So your LLC becomes the seller, buyer for the transaction. Another thought is if you're married or have children, have them do the same thing with their own IRA and form an LLC, and they can go do 3 of these. If they've got 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 of these, just don't do more than 3 transactions in your own IRA. Finally, I would forewarn you, if you're going to rent this equipment out, realize that renting personal property will create sales tax. And so you're going to have to follow the state rules on the rent of personal property. So just look up your rules there. And now it's going down a whole other path of, we have clients in LA that set up trailers to go rent equipment on movie lots and production companies. And they do it in their IRAs. They make great. But they either use a block or C Corp because you've got ordinary income on the rental of personal property and you've got sales tax. But you might make great money rather than just flipping that equipment. So lots of options. Yeah. Make sure you get educated on this. When you set up the LLC, the lawyers will talk to you about this. You're going to get your questions answered in the process. All right. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
I'm going to pose the question to you. I'll pose the question to you.
Okay.
If I'm being limited, this is Julio, if I'm being limited to $4,100 in my traditional IRA, can I still do $1,900 into Roth? Now, we've got to make some assumptions here. The only reason you'd be limited on your traditional IRA is because you've already made a contribution into your traditional.
Or you had an income restriction on, maybe you're like right in the brackets where you have a 401k at work, you have a day job, and you make too much, so you can't put the full $6,000 in, which by the way is 2022 numbers at $6,500 now, but now you're down to 4,100 is the max. See, there's kind of this little sliding scale before you phase out. That's probably it, is my guess.
So what do you do? I'm going to ask that. See, I always learn something new. So I've got a day job where I have a 401k at work.
Yeah.
And I'm making X number of dollars.
Right.
I can't even do a non-deductible traditional.
I mean, you can do non-deductible because that's what you can do for a backdoor.
Okay, so
you can't do traditional
and get a write-off.
Regular traditional IRA and get the deduction.
Okay.
If you're high income.
I've got the answer.
Yeah.
I got to throw down
Yeah,
this. Okay, everybody, this is important. This was just a light went off for me. Okay. When Julio says I am limited to 4,100 into my traditional, Julio, you've been misled. You can put 6,500. Let's assume you're under age 50. You can put 6,500 in your traditional. What someone meant to tell you is probably you can only put in 4,100 and get a write-off for 4,100.
Yeah.
You can still put in freaking $6,000. Now he goes, well, I want to put, or 6,500. Well, I want to put the rest into Roth. You can't do that directly either. I wouldn't go that route, Julio. What you might want to do is do all Roth. Just put the whole darn thing, $6,500 in a traditional IRA. And you might want to get a write-off for 4,100. That's fine. Convert the rest to Roth. And so you're getting a tax deduction for 41, and you're converting the other remainder, if you're under age 50, 6,500 minus 4,100. So you're at about $1,900 there. And no, $2,400 in Roth. And so, I don't know, did I make more sense of it or not?
I would just do a backdoor Roth IRA. Just do it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
If you're at this income limit, just drop $6,500 in the traditional non-deductible, convert it to Roth. Now you got $6,500 in a Roth IRA.
And be done with it. Forget about the 4,100 deductible.
If you're in this phase-out issue for your 401k, because you have a 401k, so you can't max out the IRA contribution, you're going to have the same issue with making a regular front-door Roth IRA contribution. So I'm just going to, any client that's like, I got a day job, 401k, and I make good money, I'm like, let's just go backdoor Roth IRA. That's it. We got prior podcast episodes on the backdoor Roth. So check that out. That was Julio.
Yeah, I guess my answer was if you want both, you want to write off for some of it, you backdoor for the other. Matt's just saying we're going to recommend backdoor for the whole thing anyway, so you might as well just go there.
Because then next year you're going to make a little bit more money, and then you're going to be totally phased out anyways, and your strategy eventually is going to be backdoor Roth.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
All right, here's another one. Discounted valuation. Okay. Well, you answered most of that one. I thought you were the brain on that one. You really killed it. You killed it. I want to just tell you. You did a great job.
Thank you. And you said the light turned off. Did the light turn on or off?
I said off?
I don't know how
I thought it said on.
Yeah.
And I'm crazy. Sorry. I meant lights were going on. And then I'm going to go off.
Yeah. I know you like when the lights go off, but I mean, I think
there we go. All right. Maria, I think, says discounted valuation based on assets in the LLC that aren't readily marketable and conversion of a partial interest in the IRA. Well, Maria, I really appreciate your faith in us to be able to interpret your question.
Well, her first part's the top. My question is about valuation.
I was like, wow, this is a really cryptic question.
Valuation of an IRA LLC for Roth conversion.
All right.
Third-party evaluation for consent advice to provide. She basically wants to know, I've got an IRA LLC. I want to convert it to Roth.
Love you.
Do you have to get a valuation of the LLC to see what it's worth? Let's say the LLC owns a property worth $200,000. You're going to get an appraisal for that. It's got a bank account with $10,000 in it. The LLC is worth $210,000. Now Myrna's like, Maria? Oh man, that's okay. You know who you are, okay? Yes, the question. Sorry.
But she's saying it's not readily marketable. I can't go get an appraisal. Well, everything can get an appraisal.
Yeah, and I think there's this readily marketable thing where it's like, all right, I own 1% of an LLC that owns an apartment building. Well, I can't force the sale of the apartment, so I can't just take the value of what 1% of this, $1 million apartment's worth and be like, well, it's $10,000. And that's not because I can't sell it. No one will buy this interest because,
can I discount it?
Yeah. So there's something called discounting, which is done typically in the tax world. Now, I've never done it myself for IRAs. I think the IRS would have a hard time dealing with that. There are other valuation people we send people to that will do discounted valuations. If you need a referral, let us know. But if it's just a single family rental that your IRA LLC owns, your IRA owns at 100%, I don't know how you're going to get that. But if you're in a partnership or maybe you're in a syndication deal or something like that, where assets where you don't have control to sell them to get the full value out, I think getting that discounted would be reasonable.
Yeah, and I think everybody, if you've made it through the show this far, this kind of goes back to the original question Nancy had early on, where she was stuck with that property in California, and she's like, I want to do the smart move for the long run. And we say, get an appraisal, push it down as reasonably as you can, convert to Roth, let the equity ride tax-free. In this situation, Maria is throwing out this, well, is it readily marketable? And that's a big topic in estate tax world and gift tax world. And when you start to play with it in the IRA world, it can be a little aggressive because you're trying to say, well, it's worth less because no one will buy what I have. Even if I get an appraisal, no one's going to buy it because I only own a partial interest or something. And so saying it a different way, I just wanted to echo Matt that you want to go through this. You want to get the Roth conversion done. Give our office a call. We can help you with some appraisers that maybe will discount it if you want to get a lower valuation, but that's going to be on you. It's it's your tax return.
Yeah.
Roll the dice. You'd be a pioneer.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be the one wearing orange, not us. So, okay. Well, remember, guys, if you have any questions for the Open Forum podcast, get over to
we're done with our questions? This is it? Huh?
I mean,
is there any other good ones?
Those are all older. We've hit a bunch of those that are already on this printout, actually. So we hit all the new ones from the last month on the directira.com/podcast. Make sure you get over there to ask your questions. We're grabbing them for social media, too. We'll get the word out on our social media shares before we're going live on this. Try and get any immediate questions that might be on your mind. And make sure you're signed up for the newsletter at directedira.com. You're going to get the updates on the podcast we're recording here. You're going to get updates on our webinars and our activities, all the things that we're doing on our events like Mark talked about. We have our Real Estate Tax Summit coming up in May. That's virtual, realestatetexsummit.com. We have the Alt Asset Summit, altassetsummit.com in June. So lots of great content we're getting out there just to better help you, live the American dream pretty much.
Yeah, totally. So thanks, everybody, for listening. If you've enjoyed the show, please give it a 5-star and share it with your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked to so many people, I love self-directing, and my friends know nothing about it. Have you shared our show? Get them going on it, please. And you're really helping yourself, you're helping us, and you're screwing Wall Street. So it's just a win-win-win.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love that? And if you're new to the show, by the way, go back to the first 10 episodes. That sets the basis of what you need to know for self-directing, starting from square one and the general.
It's kind of like our dating. That's our dating mode. Yeah. That's where we're dating you. Just 10 episodes. You get to know us. You're feeling comfortable, and then pretty soon you can't live without us.
Yeah, and we're in. We're in.
See you next week, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.